trying to do a soft glam, like neutral makeup look. But for the purpose of this video, we want her to have a little bit of a glow, so we will do a little bit of skincare. Some of the products I'm using today in this video are my Amazon YesStyle and Natasha Denona affiliate links. And I'll have everything listed below if you want to check them out. I'm going to be using the Purito Panthenol cream. Makeup artists do it on their palette, so I just squeeze enough. And then this Purito SPF, it's really nice because out of all the SPFs that I tried in the K-Beauty skincare line, this one doesn't have that SPF scent to it. So that's something that I really enjoy. And it doesn't have a white cast. And again, on my palette, I'm going to squeeze about this much. So when you put on a client, you want to go like this because you don't want to overdo the skincare, otherwise it'll be too slippery and the foundation won't stick well. And I'm kind of lazy, so I like to mix both of them together because it's like done. So if I know if I can mix stuff like this and put it together, why not? Make sure you pay attention to underneath their eyes, because remember, when the clients look in the mirror, they see their eyes right here and they see the middle of their forehead and on their lips. So you want to make sure you pay attention and nail those areas really well. So I put a little bit underneath her eyes to make sure it has enough moisturizer. I put eye patches on her because it's actually like 6 in the morning here, but we want to make sure that we depuff underneath her eyes. We want to make sure that we get a really smooth base. If you do offer like eye patch in your services, you do want to make sure you start it off after moisturizing everything. So eye patch will help absorb, skincare will absorb in the skin better. It's a little bit cold. Sometimes I will put it on the back of my hand so they don't too cold right off the bat. Put it like this. My style of doing makeup, I do eyes first, so this works for me. But if you're the person that does face first, you have to do this right away and make sure that it's absorbed well before you start on the face. But when you touch their face, you want it not too like slick or like it has like a thick film of skincare, so you don't want that. You want to make sure that right now it's a little bit thick because I just barely laid it on, but by the time I finish the eyes, it'll absorb more and it should give like a nice like soft texture. Here does have her brows done, so it just makes my job a little bit easier, so I don't have to go too much. But I do like to sharpen up the fronts a little bit, so this helps make the shadows stick better. When I do eyebrows, I like to use a combo of eyeshadow powders and Brow Wiz pencil because it just gives the look that I want to accomplish. A little bit of the Charcoal and Brun. So this is more of like a dark charcoal color. Her hair is kind of pretty black. And the reason why I still put powder over tattooed eyebrows is because depending on like the amount of hair that they have, sometimes there's that really shiny look because it's their skin. I don't like looking at that shiny eyebrow, so that's the reason why I do a light whiff of the powder. You don't have to like draw it indefinitely, but you want to give a little something so that it doesn't shine in their pictures. We're not trying to like make it darker than it is. We just want to make sure we define it. So I already did this side of the eyebrow, and all I'm doing is just giving the light feather strokes here. And to make sure you match up the other side, so you want to know where it stops. It's probably about, I mark here as the front point. Sometimes they're just not used to it because her eyebrows actually go more further back. But for pictures and on videos, I think that that's what looks good. Going in with my depotted RCMA foundation. It is the best cream foundation I've ever used. So if you want to color match, you want to look at their jawline right here. Sometimes they're more tan on their face than their neck, but you have to pay attention. Sometimes I do like to match like the shoulder area. So if they're dark hair and light hair, you want to make sure to do maybe the face like another shade lighter so it can match the neck and not look too dark. But since I do the contouring, all that stuff, you know, works out anyways. But you want to scoop out something like this. You want to go down like this to ask yourself, does it blend in well? Going on to a darker shade. I think she's about this shade. When you look at it, you want to make sure it doesn't have a white cast. You want to make sure it just blends seamlessly. So this is her shade. And then the reason why I do the shade match right away is because when I'm carving out the eyebrows, I like to do it the same shade as the skin tone rather than lighter or darker because I think it looks nicer. So every time I carve out, I want to do this and blend in the cream foundation. And the nice thing about this cream foundation is that it's multi-purpose, so you could use it as concealer, foundation, contouring, all of that. So as a makeup artist, you want to make sure I have stuff like this so I can see all the colors and just open here and scoop out whatever I need. It just makes the workflow much easier. You will never know the client that you get and how dark their skin tone is. So because you have everything laid out here, it just makes everything easy. Okay. We're gonna use Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. We want to keep it soft, and she is like darker than me a little bit. I want to go more on the darker shades, even though I'm doing natural, because it will complement her skin tone better than it does for me. I'm going in with the color Ripe. Close your eyes. When you do a client, you want to make sure the makeup looks good with their eyes closed and open. So I will place the transition color about here. Open. And I'll take a look at it. So where she has her crease right here folded, you want to make sure the eyeshadow goes above it. Open. So you want to make sure you see above the crease. And then because we're keeping it soft, I'm going to use my card trick and cover here because this is the part that I wanted to stop at. So I will place it down here. Close your eyes. And then because I want it to be soft, I keep it at the very ends. So for Asian eyes, depending on like most of us, our eyes are pretty small. Depending on the eye shape, I might just keep everything just all back here. So when she opens her eyes, you see how you can see the shadow look. So you want to keep in mind, you know, how far you want to go, and you don't want them to have a smoky eye. So most of the time, this 2/3 in area, I don't go too crazy with here. And then when you open your eyes, look in the camera. And then when you see her eyes, you see how she doesn't have that much of a lid space right here. So you don't want to go too like up here, because then it just won't look good. It'll look like a smoky eye for sure. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with the Shadow Pep. There's a more darker brown, and this is gonna be like my eyeliner. With a flat fluffy brush, I'm gonna go in with a soft spot, and I want to go a little bit here to darken it up. But remember, for her eye shape, it's open. It's pretty small right here, so you don't want to go too much on the darkness. Then she's gonna really end up with a smoky eye, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Looking up the ceiling. Okay, underneath the eyes, I'm gonna go in with Ripe, 2/3 from the outer corner, like this. I changed my mind. Sometimes I put in a shadow color, and then I realize that I don't like the way it looks, so then I will pick up a different color. So I'm going to use the color Hanker and go underneath all the way across. Okay, this is what I want it to look like. Okay, we're going to move on to the face and then take this off. So I already put primer on her face, and then I like to also put it underneath the eyes a little bit, looking up. And you make sure you like get it all in there because you want everything to look super smooth. It does have a lot of like a big dark spot right here and some freckles over here. It's up to you if you don't like it. I'm gonna do my best to cover it, but let's go in with one layer. So I do like using it with a sponge because a sponge distributes it better. So when I go like this, you see how much that went away. And then this is also built. And then I already have the foundation on. So the same foundation shade, looking up, I'm going to go underneath the eyes, and this helps block off any pigment under here. So like this. And then for this area, you don't want to put too much like a thick layer right here. So you want to keep it light. You just want to brighten it up. A dual fiber face brush. I'm going to blend out the concealer and keep it within the highlighted areas. For underneath the eyes, I want to use the sponge, and I use the straight triangle area to make sure that I get in. Going in with my one size translucent powder. I'm going to go under here with my triangle sponge. So we're going to cream contour her, and this is my cream contour palette, and you only just need just a smidge. How do you know where to go? You kind of follow where the nose point is. Like for me, because I'm also middle age or close to my 40s now, I also don't like look going downward because I feel like it makes me look more like a skeleton. So I prefer not to do it. So I try to give certain clients like a more youthful look. So you just have to kind of adjust it. But with experience, when you do makeup enough, you could kind of tell uh, the focal point. And because I did kind of like some coverage, I don't want to swipe. I'm going to make sure I pat until it blends out. Okay, we're gonna set her face with face powder. Starting with this, I'm gonna use MAC's NC30, close your eyes, and then put on her center eyelid to give it a little bit of a pop. Open. Okay, so when she opens her eyes, it kind of disappears. So you want to go a little bit higher, looking up. So you want to mark off kind of like where that open point is. Close. So it starts from here. So for Asian eyes, you want to make sure that you have them open their eyes and you kind of see where the shadow placement is, and you ask yourself if you should go higher or not. Typically, most of my clients, I actually do go a little bit higher because I want to make sure when they have their lashes and their eyes open, they can see some of the shadow. We go a little bit with the NC30 and the C6, and then go between the contour and the highlighted areas to blend out and give a dimensional look. So today we're actually going for a little bit of a glowy skin. I don't want to pack on the powder too much. Okay, because I looked at her face and I feel like I could brighten it up more, I'm going to get another shade that's a little bit lighter. So I'm not going to go too ham with this. I just want to put it like here, here, a little bit here, because I feel like she could need a little, like more of a pop. See how that looks? So nothing too crazy, but just, you know, we're just still trying to keep it soft. So what makes bridal work a little bit more tedious is all the details. So when I go look around, I feel like she needs a little more contouring here. So you want to make sure you look at every angle, side to side, top to even under the neck. You want to make sure everything blends. We're going to use a Natasha Denona High Glam blush. This is Highlight Blush Duo, and this is in the color Fresh Mauve. So I'm gonna skip the highlighted area because I don't want to do too much on her, but I'll grab the blush. Hands are a little more intense. I do want to put some of it on the back of my hand because I don't want to go too crazy on the blush. So I have a dense angled brush for this, and what I want to do is kind of go like this and blend it down so I kind of know how much is going to get distributed on her face. So we want it to kind of look like this, not like this. So when it starts to look like this, that's when I'm gonna start putting it on her cheeks. So remember, we did a lot of work right here. We wanna make sure we pat, pat, pat. And I do like to keep it where close to her eyeball, right here and right here, because I feel like that just gives a lifted, youthful look. I have an angled, like fluffy shadow brush, and I just, even though her nose is like small and slim and like button-like, I still want to define the shape and make it more straight. And so I have the lash glue, and I'm using the callus one. So this one has been beat up, so you can't see the label, but that's what that is. I'm gonna make sure that it's tacky for putting it in, because if it's still too wet, it's not gonna stick. Okay, when you get the eyelashes on, it's up to you. You can have them close their eyes or open. They could open, but looking down. And then that's when you're gonna kind of lift the eyelid like this and get as close to the lash line. So this is how you're gonna be able to see it. So if you struggle as a makeup artist trying to figure out how close it should be and what it looks like, it looks different when it's closed versus open. So you wanna make sure you lift it up and double check that it's close to the lash line. All right, so we're gonna do eyeliner on top. Depending on how long the lashes are, I might push it down like this and then kind of navigate from here. So I usually start off like pretty thin and then ask the client, or like I kind of lift up the eye to see what the eyeliner looks like. So I could kind of see when she opens her eyes, this is what it would be. So I kind of like where it's at because we're trying to keep it natural. So without opening the eyes, because it's liquid liner, if she opens, it's gonna turn black up here and we don't want that. So you wanna lift up to see what it looks like. So that's the trick. And another trick that I like to do is I don't like to put mascara because it typically runs, even if it's waterproof. So I have pretty like tight eyes too. So when I do it, it always runs over here. And I would say that that's almost 99% of all of my Asian clients. So I do use a black lash glue, put it on the mascara wand. And this helps me lift up her natural lashes and like, you know, color it, because sometimes the natural lash will have the foundation underneath, and this is what I do to keep it waterproof, so you could cry and do whatever and you will not have any black marks underneath your eyes. And then remember I told you the details, you have to go back in and plaster every lash. Okay, going in with my MAC oval brush, I'm gonna go in with the Makeup Forever shade in the color Marvelous Peanut. So it kind of has like a grayish brown warm tone. So it's not too gray and not too warm. And then I like to take off the excess and I just kind of like tap, tap, tap. You see how defined that looks? And I like to keep most of the contouring here in the center, and then the rest I'll go here. But I do like how her button nose looks like, so I will keep it and go like this. All right, going in with my favorite brown liner. We want to give her a definite lip liner right here. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to talk and trying to guess what I'm doing. You don't want it to be too perfect because you're going to blend it out. The concealer that I used on her earlier to brighten up here. Okay, so the free glowy jelly pot that I depotted, I'm gonna use this color. So all I need is just a little scoop and then put it over, and this is the most sanitary way to do it. And because I'm a working makeup artist, having something like this just makes it easy to see everything. So you want to make sure you put, so this is kind of like a thin kind of gloss type glow. So you want to layer on where it makes sense. Sometimes when you do a lip color, you're not really like digging it, so then you will fix it. So I want to make it brighter. So I picked out a brighter shade. So I wanted to bring back a little bit more warmth on her lip. And I mix it with the gloss. I just do just a light tap with my fingers and then just softly in the center right here. Okay, I like to layer, just like how I like to layer my primers, I like to layer my setting spray. And it just gives like a nice glow. Okay, when that layer dries, I'm gonna go in with the One Size setting spray. If it's like summertime, I'll probably go heavier with this. For my oily skin girls, I will go heavier with this. But for my other girls, I just do like a light, you know, spritz, especially towards like the center of the face, because this is where people typically get a little bit oily. So you want to make sure you get this area really well. And I did the center of the face. Now I do the sides and underneath the chin. Same thing on this side. This is the natural soft glam makeup look that I did on my client today. So it's more like a neutral with like a little bit of black eyeliner. And then her eye shape, she doesn't have like a huge space right here. So we try to, you know, compromise with that and then pick out a lash style that suits her eyes better without looking like it's like, you know, too much. So you could just kind of have to gauge which client has a certain facial features and certain eye shapes to figure out what shades look best and what lashes look best on her. So we just picked out a shorter one, and she actually doesn't need a whole bunch to open up her eyes. So that's what we picked out. And we did more of like a glowy skin with a little bit of contouring. With a little bit of contouring because it's natural in pictures, but you could still see a little bit of dimension. So I did do a lot of layering. And then for the lip color, we just went for like a brown and a nude in the center with a brighter gloss. I used Flea's Rosy Glaze like glowy jelly pot over her nude lips to bring out a little bit of color to it. And I also added an extra color because sometimes you just not really sure. You just put it on, see what it looks like. But yeah, if you want to see more makeup looks like this, subscribe to me and then I'll show you guys more in the next one.